Hello, and welcome to another video. Because it is the month of spooks, October, I will be doing a spooky creepydrawsta, a creepypasta and a drawing. I was inspired to do this by other YouTubers I have seen, and I wanted to and I will be reading to you the strangest security tapes I have ever seen. Credited to Powerhawk Marsh from the Creepypasta Wiki. I work at a gas station in rural Pennsylvania. It's a boring job, but it's pretty easy and it pays alright. A few weeks ago, a new guy started. I'll call him Jimmy. Jimmy is weird. He's about 25 to 26. And he hardly speaks, but he's got the creepiest laugh I've ever heard. My boss and I have noticed this, but it's never been a problem, so there's not much we can do about it. Customers have never complained about him, and he's always done his job fairly well, up until a few weeks ago. Anyway, that's when things started to go missing. Employee thefts can be a problem at any business that sells consumer goods, and there's only one person working at a time at this gas station. It's a pretty small place. About 2 weeks ago, my boss started noticing that we were short on motor oil. At first it was a few containers at a time, then an entire shelf and boxes from the back room went missing. Pretty soon, entire shipments would be gone the day after we got them, and it would always be right after Jeremy's shift. My boss has checked the security camera tapes from every single night he worked, but he could never catch him in the act. Jeremy would lock up at closing, then the motor oil would be gone the next day. My boss usually takes the tapes home with him to try and catch Jeremy stealing, but his daughter has a softball game last night, so he asked me to watch the tapes for him. He offered to pay me overtime under the table, so obviously I took the offer. There are 3 cameras, so he gave me 3 different tapes to check. I figured it would be a long night, but I'm trying to save up for vacation, so I needed the money. I took the tapes home, popped them in an old VCR, and sat back. 2 days ago, the last time Jeremy worked. Jeremy started at 4 p.m. Everything seemed pretty normal at first. He counted up his drawer, switched off with the girl who was working before him, and waited for a customer. The first person to come in was Miss Templeton. The timetable on the video read 4:03. Irregular, she picked up her cigarettes and a newspaper and paid with a 20. Nothing unusual there. The next customer that came in was a local guy named Ron. He drives a motorcycle, usually comes in every few days. He fills up his tank, got a bag of beef jerky, paid with his credit card, and then left. Next was some guy with a cowboy hat. I'd never seen him before, but we get plenty of strangers passing through, just like any gas station. He got $40 worth of diesel fuel, paid with a $100 bill, and went on his way. I sat back inside. The only thing more boring than this job is watching someone else do it. My boss's offer was enough to keep me watching though, so I left the tape on. Everything seemed pretty normal. I had a few feelings that if Jeremy was stealing motor oil, he knew we were suspicious of him by now. I didn't expect him to be dumb enough to let us catch him on camera. Things stayed boring and routine until about 5 o'clock. At 5:03, Mrs. Templeton came back in. She must have forgotten something, but she didn't. She bought the same pack of cigarettes as before, and the same newspaper. She paid with another 20. That's odd. I thought But then again, she was a little absent-minded. I thought Jeremy should have told her she'd already got her smokes, but it's not against the rules to sell somebody the same thing twice. That's when Ron came in again. He brought another tank of gas for his motorcycle again. I later checked the outdoor camera because I thought maybe he had another car he wanted to fill up. And the same pack of beef jerky. He paid with his credit card again. No big deal. I figured this was just a weird coincidence. Miss Templeton is forgetful, and Ron probably owns more than one Harley. That's when the guy with the cowboy hat came back in. I felt a chill run down my spine. Don't get diesel, don't get diesel, I found myself whispering to myself in the empty living room. But he did. He got $40 worth of diesel fuel and paid another $100 bill. Every movement he made was identical to his first visit, right down to the way he scratched his nose before he walked out. Either this guy was rich, owns a lot of trucks, and has moved into town, or something really bizarre has happened. I keep watching. Every customer for the next hour was the same as before. Every single one. I was seriously freaked out. Then, at 6:03, Mrs. Templeton walked back in. She bought her cigarettes and newspaper again. Paid with a 20 again. I thought I was going to lose it. I only watched another half an hour before I started fast-forwarding through the rest. It was all the same. Every customer would come back in the exact same time, exactly 1 hour apart. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jeremy had to have messed with the tapes. He had run a loop of his first hour of business over and over. That wasn't the case. There were windows around the cashier area that the camera covers. I watched the sunlight fade as the time ran on. Jeremy's route did not loop over. He swept, he mopped, he restocked. All his duties, exactly how you would expect. But the same customers kept coming in. I was panicking at this point. Something was seriously wrong with what I was seeing, and I had no explanation for it. I skipped ahead to when he locked up and walked out of his car. He hadn't stolen anything, but I kept watching just to make sure. I fast-forward one more time to about midnight. At exactly 12:03, out of nowhere, Jeremy's face popped up on the camera. I didn't mean he moved his head into view. I mean that 1 second the store was empty. The next second his face was all I could see. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was looking at me. I was sure of it. I screamed, fumbled through for the remote. By the time I grabbed it, he was gone. Just as soon as he had left one frame, he was there. Next, he wasn't. My hands were shaking like crazy, but I popped in another tape. The other indoor camera shows the back area by the cash register, and I would be able to see how he got up to put his face in the camera like that. I skipped ahead to 12:03, but there was nothing. I would have been able to see him standing on a chair or something, but he wasn't there. I didn't see him enter the store at all after he left. It's like he wasn't really there. He doesn't know the security code, and no alarms were triggered that night after he locked up. What did I see? How was that? At 12:03, the motor oil vanished off the shelf. All of it. Same as Jeremy's face. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. I turned the tape off and went to bed, but I didn't get a wink of sleep. My body exhausted right now, but my mind is racing. That tape was undoubtedly the most creepiest, disturbing thing I've seen in my life. I had work in a few hours. My boss asked me to bring the tapes back in and let him know what I found, but really, what the hell am I going to say? Jeremy works the night shift tonight, directly after me. The plan is for my boss to come in just before I leave and confront him with me, as I'm supposed to be the one that caught him stealing. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I suppose I'll have to show my boss the tapes, but I don't want to watch them with him. I never want to see anything like that ever again. I can't get the image of Jeremy just smiling directly into the camera out of my mind. It was the creepiest look I'd ever seen on another human being's face. Anyway, I'm going to try again and get some last-minute sleep before I have to go and deal with this. I'll let you guys know what happens. Update. 2:49 p.m. Updating from my phone. Apologies for advanced errors. My boss just finished watching the last of the tapes. I told him what to expect, but you can't really prepare someone for something like that. He's scared shitless. I am too. And Jeremy is due to come in at 4. We're going a little over an hour to get our shift together, but neither of us knows what to say to him. Is he just a messed up guy who likes to steal motor oil and scare people out of their minds? Or is he something else? I don't know if this is crazy, but does anyone think he could have anything to do with the time loop? My boss says he's never noticed anything like that in the other tapes, but the way he popped up, this made me think he knew I'd be watching. It's like he wanted me to see what he could do, like he was showing off for something. The way he smiled into the camera was like a little kid showing you they had built something. I don't know. I probably sound crazy. I'm sure feeling the part. I'm going to talk to my boss some more. We have to calm down ourselves and figure out how to handle this. I'll update again tonight. I have a really bad feeling about how this is going to play out. Update. 4:35. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone has been disconnected. We're calling the police. 5:55. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone's been disconnected. We're calling the police. 6:35. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone has been disconnected. We're calling the police. 7:35. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone's been disconnected. We're calling the police. 8:33. No sign of Jeremy. Tried calling him, but his phone's been disconnected. We're calling the police. Update. 10:58. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I just got home and saw my previous update. Things make less sense now. More than ever. That's what I can tell you. I went to work. Jeremy never showed up. My boss and I decided to call the police. As you're well aware, when I picked up the phone to call though, the sun went out. I cannot explain to you that what I thought happened. Apparently, I blacked out for exactly 5 hours because when I looked at the clock, it was 9:33. I think I got stuck in Jeremy's time loop, and then I snapped out of it at the same point I blacked out, if that really makes sense. But that's when things got really weird. My boss was right next to me when I blacked out, ready to collaborate my story with the police. When I came to, the phone was in my hand, but it was dead. Not even a dial tone. My boss was still right there, but he wasn't moving. He was standing up, but frozen. I looked at the clock again, and it wasn't moving. The second hand stuck on the 12. It was 9:33. Exactly. The clock on the register computer screen wasn't moving either. My phone was frozen. There was even a customer at the register waiting for my boss to get him cigarettes. I'm betting that would have been his 5th pack of the day. I got out of there. I didn't lock up. I didn't turn off the lights. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't grab the security tapes to upload to the internet. Believe me, that was the last thing on my mind. The gas station is on a major highway, and cars were parked all along it, except they weren't parked. They were frozen. The people inside were sitting still as wax statues. I got in my car and prayed it would start. Thankfully, it did. About halfway home, time started up again. The static from the radio turned into music, like it's supposed to be. And from what I could tell by listening to the host talk between songs, no one noticed the time freeze or whatever it was. I was the only one. Well, I'm sure Jeremy noticed as well. I still have no clue where he is or what he's doing, I'm hiding in my room and calling the police again in the morning. I don't know if I ever got through to them though before, or if I did, whether they would take me seriously. I'm scared for my life at this point. I'll update tomorrow if I can. Final update, 10:33 a.m. I finally fell asleep that night around 4. I had no idea how I would get any with the exhaustion I feel. This morning I woke up to my phone ringing. It was my boss. He was calling me since 6. He woke up when time turned back on last night and immediately called the cops. They came back to see what's wrong and he told them everything. The police around here, all small-time guys, were more concerned with the missing motor oil than anything, but my boss figured he would take it as long as he had their attention. They decided to go looking for Jeremy. We kept all our employees' application files on hand, and since Jeremy had started working there, his was easy to find. They checked the address on it and headed over to his house. You're not gonna believe what they found. The address Jeremy listed on his application was an empty lot, or at least it is now. There used to be a house there, but it burned down in 1993. Being a small town, almost everyone remembers that fire. A family of 4 used to live there, way back when. The rumour has it they had an estranged son, who they never really talked about, but I can't say for sure if that's true. What I can say for sure is that after an insurance investigation, the fire was ruled arson. The entire house was soaked in oil and torched with a Molotov cocktail. The entire family was asleep when it happened. None of them survived. They never caught the guy who did it. Rumor has it, when they tried to contact the estranged son, no one could find him. Anyway, my boss called and told me this, and I freaked out. When he asked me to come in to the gas station. "What, are you crazy?" I said, but he assured me that the cops were there with him. Then he dropped the bomb. The FBI were also in town, and they were going to talk to me one way or another, so I might as well come in. It was around 7:15, and I wanted to go back to bed, but I figured I wouldn't be able to sleep much more anyway, so I went down. 4 men in suits greeted me, told me to take a seat. We went over everything 2-3 times until they got the details down. I told them about Jeremy, security tapes, last night at work, everything. Finally, after I finished, one of the agents said, "Oh Christ, we've got another one on our hands." And then they made me sign a bunch of papers saying I would never tell anyone about what happened, so I can't say much. I might be breaking the law just by posting this. So now I'm home. I'm not sure what to do with myself. The agent's words, when I told him the story, were going to haunt me for the rest of my life. Anyway, I've got to go. I have some errands to run today, and then I have to go to work to pick up some tapes. My boss thinks this new guy Jeremy, he's a complete creep, is stealing motor oil, and I have to watch security footage to see if I can catch him doing it. I have better things to do, but my boss is paying me overtime under the table. And I'm trying to save up for a vacation, so I could really use the money. It should be simple. The oil always goes missing right after his shifts. I hope you all enjoyed that creepypasta and the illustration. What I liked about this one was the time loop and how it can be so scary that you can't even trust your own mind. And that's something that has always kind of freaked me out, as we don't really know much about time travel or the past or time loops, and I thought it would be really cool to share this story with you guys. I will leave a link to the creepypasta in the description down below. If you liked this video, let me know by leaving a like or a comment down below, and I will see you next time for another spooky October.